Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I'm Noctar, your host. So it's been a little while since we've taken a look at the builder base. Almost a full week now, I think, maybe even longer. And I wanted to get back to it since we're finally heading into mid-season, so we're starting to see some really good, strong replays. Now, y'all been uploading tons and tons of replays, and I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to use all of them because some of them are really, really long. I try to keep them to less than 2 minutes. Preferably around a minute and a half to a minute and 45 seconds, because I don't want to take too much of the video up, make it too long, running those really, really long replays. But I do have a bunch of them that are in that minute and a half to 2 minute mark that I'm going to share with you today. Starting off with this first one here from Moist Succulent down at Oz Builders. And Daz is running a GiBoCC, and I've got two from him right now, where he comes up from the bottom, uses Boxer Giants to distract any perimeter targeting troops. In this case, it's usually an archer tower. Then sends in those bombers to start breaking down the walls. By the time the walls come down, the rest of the Boxer Giants go in and they proceed to tank for the cannon carts. At that point, really, the bomber's job is done. Once he's got that bottom set of walls and these diamond-shaped bases down, there's not a whole lot else for him to do. But if you can keep them alive, especially down toward the end of the attack, they'll take out a few more buildings. As you watch, they'll get a couple of these army camps. Sometimes they'll take out a bigger defense or structure along the way, but it's usually the little outlying buildings because they're out around those walls. So while the bulk of your troops are working on the middle of the base, the bombers will take out some stuff around the outside edges, and they're on an army camp. And I've got a replay at the end of the video, which is actually really a fun one because it's a total destruction. And it was a GiBoCCa at that time. I think it was Hater that ran it, if memory serves. But you'll get to see that as well. It's just a matter of the way you set up your tanking and how your troops are timed as to whether or not the bombers will survive to the end. But done properly, they usually do, and they do take out a few buildings. So here's the next one. Again, coming up from the bottom, another pretty standard diamond base. And we're going to send in a couple of giants, let them distract that archer tower so that the bombers don't get taken out early on or get an early lock. And once again, by the time they get that done, you start sending your next volley of giants, the bombers are able to open up the bottom of the base so that everybody can just kind of work their way into the middle of the base. The giants need to last at least until, I'll call it about the middle of the attack. So you want them to stick around for a good 45 seconds to a minute in these minute and a half long attacks. Because their initial tanking, of course, is for the bombers, but after that, you want the offensive line to form up. Behind them, you need your cannon carts. The cannon carts, if you get a good solid spread, like you see right here, they're going to sweep right through the base. And this is the way it'll work for just about any cannon cart-based attack, whether it's GiBoCC or GiBoCCa, even things like Bombarian Carts, where you have far fewer of them. You'll generally see that nice, even spread of your cannon carts. Although we do have one that I'll be bringing up here in just a couple of minutes, where the cannon carts kind of come close together. They clump up, and they stay that way for the beginning half of their attack run. Which is a little unusual to see them survive because those giant cannons usually get them. But in this case, it worked out really well. And once again, we got another attack where the bombers take out the last couple of army camps. There is Daz's 3-star. So, next attack. This one is a Bombarian Carts. Now guys, if you haven't started working on Raged Barbarians, you really need to. Bombarian Carts is a really popular attack strategy right now, and it's absolutely ripping up the circuit. Lots and lots of folks are sending me replays. The guys on Divergent Void are talking about it. You typically start off from one side or another of the base. A lot of these seem to go from the right side for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. But your bombers are going to disrupt the pathing of the base by taking down the walls, of course. Raged Barbarians are going to take out some of those outer-lying buildings, but then as soon as the walls are down, you pretty much flood the middle of the base. And did you see the way they hit that crusher there? They came in, they were timed so that the crusher dropped on a couple, but then a bunch more were able to come in. And that's one of the ways you deal with the crushers. If you can get your cannon carts or even the battle machine to come in behind them as well, and I think in this case HS007 actually had the cannon carts coming in behind them to help with the crusher. if you can time that, you'll be able to get that first crusher down much, much more quickly. The first crusher is one of the most difficult to hit because that's when your attack has just now started. The second one, I mean, it's not so much that it's easier, although I guess in a way it is. What it is the second one is usually, it's going to have some of its health taken off. And more often than not, in these Bombarian Cart attacks, you'll still have a couple of cannon carts left over at the end that can work their way up to and deal with that crusher at a range. So that's where this attack kind of shines, because in any of these ground attacks, the crushers are a problem for your Rage Barbarians if you're using them. Or they're a problem for any of the ground troops, but especially for the Rage Barbarians. Here's another example. Vidit is running on this one. I think this one was, I want to say it was like a 92% 2-star, if memory serves. But doing very much the same thing as you saw on the last attack. Very straightforward, textbook kind of Bombarian Carts. Take out some of those outside buildings so that your troops don't get distracted and pulled off in directions you don't want them to go. Then proceed to break down the side walls. And finally start to flood your troops in. Now watch what happens here with this, well, first with the Megamind, but with this crusher. You see the troops are working their way in. They're getting into the crusher. Boom, down it drops. Now it's going through its latency period. You got a couple more they're going to get in there. They're going to hit it. Then the cannon cart's going to hit it. Finally, it's gone. Now we get the big flood. The other crushers on the other side of the base. Lots of time to get there. The cannon carts were together. They've kind of separated out. Now the giant cannon is down, so our cannon cart's going to be able to live a little bit longer. Out goes the Mega Tesla. Now, we've got one last crusher to deal with. No Rage Barbarians. The cannon carts and the battle machine are the ones that are going to be able to deal with whatever remains at this point in the attack. Now, because we kind of petered out a little bit here, we didn't grab the 3-star. But still, very high, very solid 2-star, able to pull the win with a 90% 2. Next up, we have Sajed. He is our Schwimmy master. He has been absolutely rocking it with the drop Mitch. And it's really neat. A lot of these bases, our diamond bases, are going to be able to be taken down with a really good solid drop Mitch. You got to come in and take out those outer buildings, same thing as you do for any of the other kind of in mass attacks. You know, you're talking about things like, for example, Bombarian Carts or these primarily beta minion driven attacks. Any attack that has a mass of troops, you want to get rid of the buildings around the outside. They're going to distract and slow them down. Don't have to go for the ones at the top. You can, nothing wrong with it, but you don't have to because your attack is coming from the bottom in this case. Once you get those out of the way, then you can start to work your way in. Timing is everything with a drop Mitch attack. You have to make it so that the bats are going in and distracting things, and that the drop ships come up with just the right amount of timing to take down anything that's along the way. Now, I had, oh man, I want to say Sajed gave me like maybe 6 or 7 of these attacks. And I just grabbed one that I thought was kind of one of the better ones. It lasts, you know, about a minute and a half, and it's a 3-star. And it's just the way everything lines up in this attack, it's exactly what you want it to do. I mean, those drop ships, they last forever. They work their way all the way in, distracting everything. You got a ton of skeletons. You've got, you know, all kinds of bats flying everywhere. You got 3 or 4 witches that are alive at the end of the attack almost. It's exactly how you want one of these to run. And these are all at 5,000 trophies, guys. So, I mean, these are good, solid players, good, solid bases that are being taken down. So you can use this up there as well. All right, last attack. This one is from Hater. And this, it's a little bit long, but I speed it up toward the end here. It's a fun one to watch. Bombers are going to take out all the walls. That's right. The entire base is going to go down on this one. So he comes up from the bottom. It's kind of a 2-brow base. Takes out that first eyebrow apron at the bottom. All of his troops form up and work their way into the middle of the base. And this is a pretty standard GiBoCCa. You can see he's got that Super P.E.K.K.A up at the top that manages to grab the attention of the giant cannon. For whatever reason, giant cannon switches, so I'm thinking maybe it was working on something else at first, but it does come back and start focusing on the Super P.E.K.K.A. And because of that, all the rest of the troops are able to just keep on hammering their way straight on through until finally the cannon carts are what take down the giant cannon. And Super P.E.K.K.A, you know, she did her job. She did exactly what we needed her to do. As the cannon cars continue to work their way through, battle machine goes down. Cannon cars are going to take out the last of the defenses, and at that point, we got it. We're left with nothing but bombers. And there's plenty of bombers, but they're all over there, you know. Well, I guess technically they're on two sides, but they're gonna work their way through and finish off this base all by themselves. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things they're gonna take down, plus all the walls. So it is a total destruction. A complete 3-star. The entire base has been destroyed, even the individual walls. So there you have it, guys. Some action from the 5000s. Comments, questions, drop them down below. Ideas and thoughts. Always happy to hear from you guys. And I'll be back again in the next couple days with some more builder base action. Y'all take care. Keep on clashing. Bye-bye.